Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, July 16th, 2020. Today we're going to talk about the MEAC canceling its football season, a situation going on with the WNBA's best players, go over this morning's KBO, look ahead to tomorrow's games, soccer, go over the games from yesterday, look ahead to today in Premier League, La Liga, and MLS. We'll go over the current leaderboard right now in the Memorial Tournament in golf. We'll go over the results from the All-Star Open and All-Star Race for NASCAR. I'll do my third base rankings as we are a week away from Major League Baseball, and I'll do my 2012 Top 10 Artists. All right, we'll start with the MEAC. They canceled their football season. It is a big blow that the MEAC canceled its football season. The first big name conference to cancel college football. D1, the first scholarship D1 conference to cancel fall football season. I think that they kind of joined in on the Ivy League a little bit. Like I said, it's a big loss for the sport. Every year they play in that Celebration Bowl. It's normally NCAA&T. Florida A&M is another school that's solid in that conference. And the decision comes 1 week after two Division II conferences, the CIAA and the SIAC, announced the decision to shut down football competition for the fall. Other FCS conferences, including the Ivy League and Patriot League, will also sit out of the season. So we talked about the Ivy League, and then the Patriot League joined in. And now the MEAC. The decision means no MEAC SWAC Challenge and no Celebration Bowl, which is very sad. And the conference was set to kick off its 50th football season this year. So that's very sad, and hopefully they're back next year, and the Celebration Bowl is back in 2021 around Christmas time, because that's normally a game that I like to bet on every year, and a game that's normally entertaining and fun, played in Atlanta, and unfortunately we're not going to have that this year. I still do think that we will have college football, with the majority of the conferences doing conference only, and I do think there'll still be a college football playoff and a national championship, because the sport needs it for its television ratings, for money, etc. And also, I believe that the group of 5 schools, some of them will do conference only, and others may throw in some non-con games. So it's going to be interesting to see what the other leagues do. And obviously we'll talk about it on the podcast once we get more information. Now I'm going to talk about Elena Delle-Donne of the Washington Mystics and her situation. She wants to opt out of the season. There are rumors out there that the Mystics were either going to make her play, or she wasn't going to get her money if she opted out. But that turned out to be untrue. The Mystics came out and said if she opts out, they'll pay her money, which is the right thing to do. I think Delle-Donne is concerned, and that is a big loss for the Mystics. And by the way, just traded for Tina Charles a couple of months ago, and they really are going for that repeat. And Elena Delle-Donne is really apparently concerned about the bubble and her health and everything, and doesn't want to get sick. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And if Elena Delle-Donne doesn't play, the Mystics, in my opinion, are not repeating. I mean, it's a long shot without her, and with her, they're the unequivocal favorites. And they're lucky that they added Tina Charles this offseason. That's for damn sure. And so we'll obviously monitor the Elena Delle-Donne situation. There was a couple other big names that opted out of the WNBA restart, and it was actually a medical thing for Delle-Donne wanting to opt out. Other WNBA players that are opting out. Rebecca Allen of the Liberty, Jessica Berlin of the Mercury, Liz Cambridge of the Aces, that's a big loss for them. Natasha Cloud of the Mystics, Asia Durr of the Liberty, Tiffany Hayes of the Dream, John Cole Jones of the Sun, that's a big loss for them. Renee Montgomery of the Dream, big loss. Chine Agumake of the Sparks, big loss. Latoya Sanders of the Mystics, Christy Tolliver of the Sparks, big loss. And Cecilia Zandlasini of the Lynx. So there are a lot of big names on there. I think the Sparks, are greatly affected by this. The Sun, the Dream, the Mystics if Delle-Donne opts out, the Liberty, but Ionescu could very well single-handedly carry them to the playoffs because I think she is the female Zion Williamson. She's the Zion Williamson of the WNBA. She's gonna be gathering ratings, rejuvenating the franchise, etc. But the Liberty are lucky that she's not opting out. So I really don't know what to predict for the season and whatnot. Their season is supposed to start next Saturday, the 25th. I'm gonna probably have Jeff Maglicetti on next week to preview the WNBA season, talk a little NASCAR too, and obviously baseball. So we'll save the WNBA predictions for Jeff Maglicetti. Now I'm going to go over the KBO results from this morning and look ahead to the games on tomorrow. The Dinos over the Heroes 9-1. Good bounce back win for the Dinos. The Bears over the Wyverns 4-2. The Giants over the Twins 15-10. That was a shootout. The Wiz over the Eagles 4-1. And the Samsung Lions over the Kia Tigers 8-7. 5 games tomorrow, all at 5:30 a.m. Eastern and 6:30 p.m. out in Korea. You have the Heroes at the Wyverns. I think the Heroes will get it done. They're playing very well right now, although they did lose against the Dinos last night. The Wiz and the Dinos, I gotta go with the Dinos. They're just better. The Eagles at the Twins. The Twins are a no-brainer here. The Bears and the Tigers. The Bears are playing very well. I think they keep it going and get it done on the road. And then the Giants at the Lions. That's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm going to go with the Lions here at home to win their second straight game because the Giants are an every other day kind of a deal. So give me the Lions at home against the Giants tomorrow. Now I'm going to go over the soccer results from yesterday and look ahead to today's matches. I'll start with the Premier League. Tottenham over Newcastle 3-1. Tottenham improves to 15-10-11 with 55 points. Newcastle drops to 11-10-15 with 43 points. Burnley and Wolves ended in a 1-1 draw. Burnley 14-9-13, 51 points. Wolves 14-14-8, 56 points. Man City over Bournemouth 2-1. This was predictable. 24-3-9, 75 points for Man City. Bournemouth drops to 8-7-21, 31 points. You knew that was bound to happen. They were going to have a letdown to Manchester City. And I called the upset. Arsenal over Liverpool 2-1. Arsenal 13-14-9, 53 points. Liverpool 33-3, 93 points. 4 matches today, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. You have Everton and Aston Villa. Everton 12-9-14, 45 points. Aston Villa 8-6-21, 30 points. I'm going to go with Everton here at home. They're the better team. Aston is one of the worst teams in the sport, so give me Everton to go out there with a clean performance. Leicester City and Sheffield United is a great game at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Leicester City 17-8-10, 59 points. Sheffield United 14-12-9 with 54 points. Leicester City is the much better offensive team, as we know, but they have not played well of late. I believe in due, though, and I think Leicester City is due for a win. So give me Leicester City over Sheffield United at home, although I do not feel good about it. 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time today, Southampton hosts Brighton. Southampton, 13-6 and 16, 45 points. Brighton, 8-12 and 15, 36 points. I'm going to go with Southampton here. They're the better team, although Brighton is better than Southampton in terms of keeping the ball out of their own net. So give me Southampton here. I think their goal scoring will be the difference. And then at 3:15 p.m. Eastern, you have Crystal Palace and Manchester United. Crystal Palace, 11-9 and 15, 42 points. And Manchester United, 16-11, 8, 59 points. Man United needs this game. Maybe if Leicester City has another letdown, they can pass them in the standings today with the win. Pressure is on Man City, so they should be able to get it done today on the road at a subpar Crystal Palace team. La Liga has a bunch of games going on today. At 12:30 p.m. Eastern, you have Eibar and Valladolid. Eibar, 10-9 and 17, 39 points. Valladolid, 8-15 and 13, 39 points. These two teams are, I'd say, pretty even. Give me the draw. Valladolid is better at keeping the ball out of their own net. Meanwhile, Eibar is better at goal scoring. So I'm going to go with the draw here between Valladolid and Eibar. 3 o'clock Eastern today, you have Barcelona and Osasuna. Barcelona 24-7 and 5, 79 points. Osasuna 12-12-12, 48 points. Barcelona's the easy pick. Let's move on. Mallorca and Granada at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time today. Granada 14-8 and 14, 50 points. Mallorca 9-5 and 22, 31 points. Or 32 points. I'm going with Granada. They're the much better team than Mallorca, and they should be able to get the job done. Celta Vigo and Levante at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Celta Vigo 7, 15 and 14, 36 points. And Levante 12, 7 and 17 with 43 points. I'm going to go with Levante. I think their goal scoring is the difference here on the road. Real Sociedad and Sevilla, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time today. Real Sociedad, 16-6 and 14, 54 points. Sevilla, 8-12 and 6, 66 points. Sevilla is the much better team. They're on the road, though. Real Sociedad's not bad, but Sevilla, I think, is that much better, especially keeping the ball out of their own net. Real Sociedad gives up more goals than them, although they play at a high pace. So give me Sevilla here to get the job done. Real Betis hosts Alaves at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Real Betis, 10, 11, and 15, 41 points. Alaves, 9, 9, 18, 36 points. I'm going to go with Real Betis here. They're the better goal-scoring team. That's the difference here. You have Valencia and Espanyol at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time today. Valencia, 13, 11, and 12 with 50 points. Espanyol, 5, 9, and 22, 24 points. The much better team is Valencia. They should be able to win by multiple goals at home. Getafe against Atletico Madrid. Getafe, 14, 12, and 10, 54 points. Atletico Madrid, 17, 15, and 4, 66 points. This is a really good game. I think that it'll be competitive throughout. Ultimately, I think Atletico Madrid is the better all-around club. So give me Atletico Madrid over Getafe on the road. Real Madrid against Villarreal. Real Madrid, 25, 8, and 3 with 83 points. Real Sociedad. Villarreal is in the standings. 17, 6, and 13, 57 points. I think this game will be a little competitive and whatnot. But Real Madrid is so much better defensively. And keeping the ball out of their own net than Villarreal. So give me Real Madrid to get it done at home. And last but not least, the Athletic Club against Leganes. Athletic Club is... Athletic Club. 13, 12, and 11, 51 points. And Leganes is 7, 11, 18, 32 points. The easy pick here is the Athletic Club. They're better all around. They're home. So give me the Athletic Club to get it done today over Leganes. And now I'm going to go over Major League Soccer from last night and this morning. San Jose over Vancouver 4-3. It was a big win for San Jose after getting a draw in the first game. Vancouver actually scored in the first 7 minutes on a goal by Ali Adnan to go up 1-0. There was an own goal that gave Vancouver a 2-0 lead by a player on San Jose, Judson, in the 22nd minute to give Vancouver a 2-0 lead. And in extra time in the first half, in the 48th minute, San Jose gets on the board for real on a goal by Andy Rios to make it a 2-1 game. Then in the 59th minute, Vancouver goes up 3-1 on a goal by Christian De Jome in the 59th minute. And then the 72nd minute, San Jose gets within a goal on a goal by Chris Wondolowski to make it a 3-2 game. And then in the 81st minute, the game is tied on a goal by Oswaldo Alanes. And then in extra time, in the 99th minute, the game-winning goal is scored by a player, Shea Salinas, the midfielder, to give San Jose a 4-3 lead and the win. So a very entertaining game for the tournament to give San Jose the come from behind victory. And the most stunning result in the tournament thus far, Cincinnati over Atlanta United 1-0. Cincinnati's the worst team in the sport. So, a little surprising. But a lot of people are going to be pointing to the red card in the 26th minute given to a really good player on Atlanta's team, Jake Maloney. So that was a loss for them. And then Cincinnati gets on the board in the second half in the 76th minute on a goal by Frankie Amaya to go up 1-0. And then in extra time of the game, in the 11th minute of extra time, so in the 101st minute, I guess, maybe they went that long because it's on they want to avoid a bad result here at Cincinnati. That's my thing. But another red card was given out to J.J. Williams of the United. So that was at the very end of the game, and then Cincinnati comes away with the upset victory. 2 games tonight. You have the Montreal Impact against the Toronto FC. Toronto FC is the better team. They're minus 105 on FanDuel, so I'll take Toronto FC to get the job done. And at 10:30, you have Columbus against the New York Red Bulls. Good game. Columbus is actually a slight favorite, but I like the Red Bulls here. I think that both teams are very good. Or wait, no, I actually like the draw. Both teams coming off wins. And I think that both teams could have a little bit of a letdown. So I think there will be a draw here. Although if I had to pick a side, no draw, I'd go with the Red Bulls. It was a do-or-die playoff game, no draws. I'd definitely go with the New York Red Bulls over the Columbus Crew. So give me the draw here. It was like plus 260, and I think that was good value on the board for that match. Now I'm going to go over the current standings of the Memorial Tournament, which began this morning. Tied for first place is Brendan Steele and Charles Howell III with a score of a -4. A big tie for third, including Luke List, Mark Hubbard, Ryan Moore, Max Homa, and Jordan Spieth. In that tie for third, all with the score of the -2. A big tie for eighth place with a score of a -1. Byung Hun An, Scotty Scheffler, Abraham Ancer, Patrick Cantlay, Carl Peterson, Ha-Tung Lee, Danny Lee, Brian Stewart, Emiliano Grillo, Lucas Glover. And then on the even front right now, you got Zhixuan Zhang, Louis Oosthuizen, Wyndham Clark, Matt Wallace, Scott Piercy, Patrick Reed, Jim Herman, Patrick Rogers, Doc Redman, Rafa Cabrera Bello, Rory Sabatini, Harold Varner III, Matthew Neesmith, Eric Van Rooyen, Bud Cauley, Mackenzie Hughes, Scott Harrington, Joel Dahman, Jason Kokrak, Victor Perez, and Henrik Norlander. Into tie for 39th, all at the score at the +1. You got Sepp Straka, Alex Noren, Keegan Bradley, Joaquin Neiman, Stuart Sink, Bryson DeChambeau, Keith Mitchell, William McGirt, Vijay Singh, Harry Higgs, C.T. Pond, Matthias Schwab, and Maverick McNeely. Notables in the tie for 52nd with a score of 2 over: Jason Day, J.T. Potson, Victor Hovland. In the tie for for 3 over, tied for 65th, you have Justin Thomas and J.T. Potson among notables. In the tie for 71st with a score of 4 over, Ian Poulter, Hideki Matsuyama, Colin Morikwa. You have Matthew Wolff alone in 76 with a score of a +5. Bubba Watson and Dustin Johnson in a tie for 77th with a +7. Tied for 79th, you have Xander Schauffele, KJ Choi, and Andrew Landry with a score of a 7 over. And then in 82nd right now with a score of a 9 over, David Lingermurth. And Nate Lashley withdrew from the competition. You have some big names coming up, including Webb Simpson, Siwoo Kim. You have John Rahm, Sergio Garcia, Tyler Duncan, Ryan Palmer, Phil Mickelson, Shane Lowry, Ricky Fowler, Justin Rose, Brooks Koepka, Zach Johnson, Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods. So Tiger Woods, I am very fascinated to see how he looks. I think he's going to be the storyline for the rest of the day. And Harry English among those notable that have yet to go. Now I'm going to go over the results from the NASCAR All-Star Open and the All-Star Race. The All-Star Open was first, and the winner was Matt DiBenedetto, who obviously got the race in the All-Star Race in result of finishing in first. Clint Boyer came in second. He won the fan vote. Third, Austin Dillon. Fourth, Chris Buescher. Fifth, Ty Dillon. Sixth, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Seventh, Michael McDowell. Eighth, John Nemechek. Ninth, Corey LaJoie. 10th, Tyler Riddick. 11th, Chris Bell. 12th, Daniel Suarez. 13th, Ryan Preece. 14th, J.J. Yealy. 15th, Brendan Poole. 16th, Garrett Smithley. 17th, Quinn Hofe. 18th, Joey Gase. 19th, William Byron. 20th, Eric Almirola. 21st, Bubba Wallace. And the Stage 1 winner wound up being Eric Almirola, and the Stage 2 winner wound up being William Byron. So those guys got to be in the All-Star race. And now to the All-Star race results. Your winner was Chase Elliott. He was dominant in Stage 3, and then in the final stage, just flat-out dominant. Kyle Busch second. Kevin Harvick finished strong in third. Brad Keselowski fourth. Denny Hamlin fifth. Ryan Blaney 6th, Joey Logano 7th, Alec Bowman 8th, Eric Almirola 9th, Martin Truex Jr. 10th, Eric Jones 11th, William Byron 12th, Matt DiBenedetto 13th, Justin Haley 14th, Clint Boyer 15th, Cole Custer 16th, Jimmy Johnson 17th, Matt Kenseth 18th, Ryan Newman 19th, Kurt Busch came in last. So it was a good race. And then coming up for NASCAR, you have Texas on Saturday for the Truck Series, as well as the Xfinity. And then your Cup race is on Sunday. So all at Texas should be a fun race. And I'll have picks for all 3 races on my podcast tomorrow. Now I'm going to do my MLB third baseman rankings as we head closer to the start of the season. We're exactly a week away. We'll do third baseman today, shortstops tomorrow, outfielders and DHs on Monday, pitchers or starting pitchers on Tuesday and relievers on Wednesday, and then the Mega Predictions show coming to your platforms by Wednesday night, and then opening day is obviously a week from today. So without further ado, your third base rankings, preseason edition. 32, Rio Ruiz, Orioles. Ruiz, not really that great of a player. I think there's a chance he's supplanted during the season by their hot prospect. I forget his name. Ryan Mountcastle, there you go. So, I think Ryan Mountcastle could very well be their third baseman or even first baseman if they move Chris Davis to DH and do some maneuvering. But yeah, Rio Ruiz I don't think is long for this Orioles team. He's not very good. 31, Maikel Franco, Royals. Maikel Franco, polarizing player because he was in Philly and underachieved as a player. He was highly touted as a prospect and really hasn't lived up to expectations. 30, Johan Camargo, Braves. Had a career year a couple years ago, but I don't think he's all that great. 29, Jeimer Candelario, Tigers. This is a guy I was high on coming into last year, but he really hasn't lived up to expectations, whether that's due to injury or inconsistency. 28, Jed Jerko, Brewers. Jed Jerko's bounced around a lot. He was with the Padres. He was with the Cardinals. Then the Cardinals traded him to the Dodgers. I don't think played for the Dodgers. But if he's healthy and shows his power skills like he did with the Cardinals, I think that the Brewers may have picked themselves up a good acquisition here. 27, Travis Shaw, Blue Jays. It's sad that this guy really took a hit last year of the Brewers. He was terrible. And I thought at the time that the Red Sox made that trade that they were going to regret trading him as they went for the reliever in Tyler Thornburg, who really didn't turn out to be a good acquisition for the Red Sox. But Travis Shaw, we'll see if he rebuilds his value at the Blue Jays. 26, Kyle Seager, Mariners. Kyle Seager was an all-star player 5-6 years ago. Now, not so much. He's really not all that good anymore, and it's sad. Number 25, Carter Kieboom, Nationals. This is somebody that could be much higher on this list or much lower on this list, depending on how his season goes this year. He's under a lot of pressure because he's replacing Anthony Rendon. He's a rookie. He did see limited time in the big leagues last year, very limited, and hit like 130 or something like that. But I think this kid has a chance to be a star, and if he lives up to the billing, then the Nationals are in good position. 24, Brian Anderson, Marlins. Brian Anderson had a very good year last year, but I think he regresses a little bit this year. Maybe because he plays in a bigger ballpark, and most of his home runs came away from Marlins Park last year and the juice ball, and we don't know if the balls are going to be juiced this year or not. So I'm a little concerned about Brian Anderson. 23, Colin Moran, Pirates. Colin Moran was somebody that they got in the Garrett Cole trade. People thought he was the third baseman of the future, and I think that there's a chance that if he struggles, he's supplanted by Brian Hayes at some point. 22, Eric Sogard, Brewers. Eric Sogard quietly had a really good year last year, and I think it went unnoticed. He's a good defensive player, but there is a regression possibility here. So this ranking could be very, very wrong or very, very right or wrong in the other direction too. Maybe he is better than I thought. 22, Tommy Edman, Cardinals. Tommy Edman's interesting. He really showed a lot in his limited playing time last year. Solid defensive player, solid hitter. 20, Austin Riley, Braves. Austin Riley, before he got injured last year, was playing very well. I believe in this kid. He can hit. He was highly touted as a prospect. And I think he's going to remind people that he is a darn good, talented player. And I just think that he could very well be overshadowed now and for years to come by Freddie Freeman and Ronald Acuna Jr. and even Ozzie Albies for what it takes. 90, Yandy Diaz, Tampa Bay Rays. Yandy Diaz, limited playing time last year due to injury. Actually, it was very good. I was not high on him as a player. He really wasn't anything special in Cleveland, and when the Rays traded for him, everybody was gushing over it. But he wasn't bad last year before he got injured, but I think he needs to stay healthy and really live up to the expectations. Like I said, this could be the correct ranking or the wrong ranking. 18, Todd Frazier, Rangers. I like Todd Frazier a lot as a player. I considered him higher, but he is more of a power hitter than an average hitter at this point in his career. Good defensive player at third base. Strikes out a lot, so that's why he's this low, but he's a good veteran. He'll help the Rangers. 17, Gio Urshela, Yankees. This is one of the more interesting rankings, in my opinion, that I had, because Gio Urshela had the best year of his life last year, hitting over 300, over 20 home runs. I'm not convinced that that'll be the case again this year when his stats translate into what would have been an 162-game season, but I also don't think he's going to be as bad as he was as an offensive player with the Cleveland Indians. I think he's somewhere in the middle, and his defense alone should keep him with a pretty respectable ranking on this list. 17, Evan Longoria, Giants. Evan Longoria had a bad year last year at San Francisco. I think that he's a bounce-back candidate for this short season for a bad Giants team, and maybe if he's good enough, they can trade him. 15, Gene Segura, Phillies. Gene Segura is interesting. He moves from shortstop to third base. Good hitter. With a smaller ballpark in Philadelphia, you should be able to hit more home runs. I'm surprised his power numbers weren't spectacular last year, but he's still a good player. 14, Jose Ramirez, Indians. I think Jose Ramirez is one of the more overrated players in all of baseball because many people think he's like a top 10 third baseman. He's not. He had 2 good years in the big leagues in 2000, I think it was 16 and 17, and then in 2018, he got to that good start and regressed, and he got to a slow start this past year and then wound up getting hot. But maybe he's just more of a streaky player rather than a mediocre player. But I look at him as the former, which is a streaky player, and I just don't think he's as good as the guys that I have in the top 10. Good defensive player. He could play second base as well. And if he is as good as he was in 2017, then the Indians are looking at themselves as a dangerous offensive team. 13, Eduardo Escobar, Diamondbacks. Eduardo Escobar had a career year last year, but I think he regresses a little bit. He's not a good average hitter. I don't think his defense is all that special either. Like I said, I think his numbers regress, but he's still a solid player. 12, Justin Turner, Dodgers. Justin Turner was very good for the Dodgers when he first went over there, and he still is a good player, but I feel like he's going to be a player in decline, and I don't think he is as good as other players in his own lineup, such as Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts from an offensive standpoint. But he's still a good defensive third baseman, veteran, big game player. Occasionally he would get the big hit. 11, Jeff McNeil, Mets. A lot of people would be screaming at me, why isn't Jeff McNeil higher? He's projected to be a third baseman, not a second base. The Mets have second base occupied by Robinson Cano, so that moves Jeff McNeil, who's a versatile player, to third base. He's a very good offensive player, but I just think that there's 10 more better third basemen than Jeff McNeil, and he was a second baseman by trade, so position move could hurt him defensively a little bit. We'll see. I don't think it will necessarily, but he's a good hitter, and the position's just loaded. That's not Jeff McNeil's fault. 10, Josh Donaldson, Twins. Josh Donaldson, I think, will turn out to be a solid acquisition for this year and maybe next year, too, for the Minnesota Twins. But he's very quietly getting older. He had a career year with the Braves last year, which lauded him this contract with Minnesota. But I personally think that Donaldson only has maybe 2 or maybe, if he's lucky, 3 more good years left in his career. But I do think he'll be very good, nonetheless, this year. 9, Yoan Moncada, White Sox. Yoan Moncada is coming off a career year after leading the league in strikeouts 2 years ago. So, some may argue that Moncada should be higher than this. Some may argue that he should maybe be lower than this. But I think this is the right ranking for him, because I'm not so sure if he'll be as good again as he was last year. But I don't think he's obviously as bad as he was 2 years ago, to put it well. And I do think that Yoan Moncada will have a good year. And I think that the White Sox could very well be a sneaky surprise contender this year. 8, Rafael Devers, Red Sox. Rafael Devers had the best year of his career last year. He's a good hitter. His defense is the reason why he's not top 5. He's a bad defensive player at third base, but his offense alone is good enough to keep him on the field. 7, Manny Machado, Padres. It's amazing that Manny Machado's 7th. Manny Machado was solid in year 1 for the Padres. Many people labeled him as a disappointment in year 1, but Machado, for the most part, is playing in a big ballpark in San Diego. So that's why his power numbers went down. But he had 285. That, I think, is respectable. I know people are pointing at the contract and everything, but he's still a very good player. And I think that he'll have another good season this year for San Diego. 6, Chris Bryant, Cubs. This position is so loaded. This top 6 is absolutely loaded. And by the way, when I do outfield, it's going to be split into 3 groups: left, center, right, and then obviously the DHs is a whole nother story. But Chris Bryant is a really good player. He can play a lot of different positions. I think the DH in the National League could benefit Chris Bryant when they want to give Kyle Schwarber some off days. So I think Chris Bryant is a very special player. He won the MVP in 2016, and I think that he could have another good year for the Cubs. 5, Eugenio Suarez, Reds. Introducing your best third baseman in the National League Central, Eugenio Suarez. I love this guy. I think he's the best player on the Reds from a position player standpoint. I think he's going to have a big year in a small ballpark like the Great American Ballpark. And he's going to remind people that he's a top 5 third baseman in this league. 4, Matt Chapman, Athletics. Matt Chapman, I love him. He's a darn good defensive player. He is a really good offensive player, 36 home runs a year ago, and I think he is in for another big season as well. 3rd, Alex Bregman, Astros. The cheating controversy is why Alex Bregman is not number 1. He's still a darn good player, 41 homers, 118 RBIs last year. I think he could have another big year this year. 2, Anthony Rendon, Angels. Anthony Rendon is a really good player, and it's just unfortunate he's on a team that I don't think is a contender in the Angels. But him playing with Mike Trout is certainly going to be fun to watch, that's for sure. But Anthony Rendon was an MVP finalist last year in the National League and led the Nationals to a World Series championship, obviously. And number 1, Nolan Arenado, Colorado Rockies. Coors product, my ass. Nolan Arenado is the best third baseman in Major League Baseball, in my opinion, from both offense and defense. His numbers away from Coors are not bad. So I've had enough of the Coors product reputation for Arenado. He's not that. And I really think that he's going to be really good. And I won't be shocked if he's traded at the trade deadline this year if the Rockies struggle. And now I'm going to do my 2012 top 10 artists/bands. Interesting list that I had to put together here. 3 honorable mentions: Beyonce, Flo Rida, and Luke Bryan. And now to the list. 10th, Pink. Pink had a good year in 2012. I obviously am very a big fan of her music. She had 2 singles from the album The Truth About Love that came out in the calendar year 2012. Blow Me, One Last Kiss, and Try. And both those songs obviously made my songs list. 9th place, Maroon 5. Maroon 5 had a good year in 2012. Their Overexposed album came out. 3 singles from the calendar year 2012 on it: Payphone, One More Night, and Daylight, my bad. 8th, Katy Perry. Katy Perry had a really good 2012 as well. She had the EP of Teenage Dream called The Complete Confection in 2012. 2 singles off of that, Part of Me and Wide Awake, and 1 single off her album Teenage Dream came out in 2012 for the radio called Hummingbird Heartbeat. 7th place, Pitbull. Pitbull had a good 2012 as well. His album Global Warming came out in 2012. 3 singles in 2012: Back in Time, Get It Started, and Don't Stop the Party. 6th place, Drake. Drake had a really good 2012 as well. His album Take Care came out in 2011. 3 radio singles from that album came out on the radio: Take Care, HYFR, and Crew Love. 5th place, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber had a good 2012 as well. His album Believe came out that year. 3 singles in the calendar year off that album: Boyfriend, As Long As You Love Me, and Beauty and a Beat. 4th place, David Guetta. David Guetta had a good 2012 as well. His Nothing But the Beat album came out in 2011, but 3 singles off that album came out in 2012, including I Can Only Imagine, She-Wolf, Falling to Pieces, and Just One Last Time. 3rd place, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's album Red came out in 2012. 3 radio singles came out in that calendar year: We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, Begin Again, and I Knew You Were in Trouble. 2nd place, One Direction. One Direction had a really good 2012. Their album Take Me Home came out in that year. And they had 2 singles off of Up All Night that were out in that calendar year as well. One Thing and More Than This from Up All Night, and in Take Me Home, Live While We're Young and Little Things came out for the radio that year. And my number 1 artist of 2012, Rihanna. Rihanna had a really good 2012. Her album Unapologetic came out that year. And she also had 3 singles off her album Talk the Talk that came out that year as well. Birthday Cake remix, Where Have You Been? Cockiness, Love It remix. And then off of Unapologetic, Diamonds came out, and that was an unbelievable song. Oh yeah, and Talk That Talk came out as the single in 2012 calendar year as well. I knew I was missing one. So there you have it, my top 10 artists of 2012. That's it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping any news related to COVID or any sports news I'll have for you on the show. I'll recap the KBO games from tomorrow morning and look ahead to the weekend's games. We'll preview the weekend soccer games, the NASCAR race. We'll do golf leaderboard. I'll do my shortstop rankings prior to the season, and I'll do my 2012 top 10 albums as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.